Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Glad to welcome you back to the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and it's time for The Other Booth. It's presented to you by U.S. Wellness Meats. Eat like a champion with U.S. Wellness Meats. Grass-fed, pasture-raised at U.S. Wellness Meats. Their animals eat right, so you can too. Visit them at uswellnessmeats.com and save 15% by using the promo code BAMA. We're getting set for Alabama against LSU this upcoming Saturday in Baton Rouge, and now we're joined by the voice of the LSU Tigers, Blair from down on the Bayou. And Chris, I think the last time we did this, 15 minutes later, the game got postponed, so hopefully we'll have some better luck on this Thursday than we did a couple weeks ago. How are you?
I'm good, Roger. Yeah, I was about to say it's deja vu all over again. Felt like we've done this before, but looks like we're going to play a game this weekend, so that's good news.
All right, what can you tell us about the Tigers as we get ready for this matchup with Alabama?
Well, it's been a tough week so far. I mean, obviously, you come off a disappointing loss where you finally kind of get some consistency from your defense, arguably playing their best game of the season, and yet the offense really going back to the Auburn game. That's really 2 games this year. The offense just has been unable to get anything really going. So it's unfortunate for them. They have such a good defensive performance. They can't put points on the board. Narrowly avoided a shutout for the first time and since the Alabama game of 2018. They get out of College Station, obviously, with a 20-7 loss. And then Sunday afternoon, news breaks, Terrace Marshall Jr. decides to hang it up. He's going to go prepare for the Combine and the NFL Draft. And, you can't certainly fault the young man for doing so. I don't think he's got much to prove by playing any more games for LSU. But, from a locker room standpoint, it was 2 weeks ago that Terrace kind of grabbed everybody and rounded them up, team meeting only, and talked about what playing means and to continue to fight. So you have to wonder what kind of impact that has, not only on some of the other veterans, but also even the young newcomers who are having to carry such a load here in 2020 that maybe you didn't expect to going into the season. So it's been a tough week, and obviously you've got Alabama coming to town, which looks pretty unstoppable at this point when you get a chance to watch their film. I mean, they're typical Alabama team, solid, talented on defense, and now super explosive on offense. So I think LSU really for the first time in a while embracing the underdog role. I don't think they've got a lot of pressure going into this game. I think all the pressure is on the Crimson Tide to go out and just play loose, have fun, see what happens after 60 game minutes.
Well, LSU, you mentioned the inconsistency on offense, and that really starts with the quarterback. Just what's the quarterback situation looking like heading into Saturday?
Well, it's another one of those curveballs that 2020 has thrown LSU. I mean, you start the season off with Miles Brennan, and even though in his first 3 games, you have 2 losses there, really his first 4 games, you have 2 losses, Mississippi State, and then on the road at Missouri. But they were putting up points. They were putting up numbers. The problem, again, was all about defense. They couldn't get teams off the field. They weren't turning the ball over enough. So, now all of a sudden you're without Miles Brennan, who was injured in that Missouri game way back when. And you've been, thrust 2 true freshman quarterback into the mix. TJ Finley, who had a great game against South Carolina, I think was aided by the fact that his offensive line played their best game of the season. Allowed LSU to establish the run game early and often, took a lot of pressure off TJ Finley. Against Auburn, things steamrolled quickly after a couple of miscues and mistakes that tend to happen when you're put on that stage for the first time. We've seen a little bit of Max Johnson. He performed well, I think, late in the game against Texas A&M. But, the key for LSU is you've got to be able to win or at least hold your own at the line of scrimmage. And when that doesn't happen, you're putting a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of guys who have played a handful of games in their career, and now you're going up against the number 1 team in the country. So, that's obviously a big concern going into the game, but it'll be a concern and has been a concern really all season.
Now trying to slow down this Alabama offense, who are some playmakers that can have a good day coming up on Saturday for LSU?
Well, I think, most everybody who follows these 2 teams or follows SEC football is looking forward to, the matchup at times between the super talented Devontae Smith and obviously Derek Stingley Jr. I think you can make an argument for both. They're the best at their positions in the country. I don't know how often they're going to be matched up one-on-one in the game, but obviously Derek Stingley can be a difference maker in pass coverage. I think Cordell Flott played his best game, career high, 8 tackles against Texas A&M. Did a great job in coverage and did a great job helping in run support as well. Made several tackles in the running game. Those two come to mind. Up front, you got to have a good game from really all 4 up front. B.J. Ojulari has been a bright spot. He's been able to create havoc in the backfield. Andre Anthony is another veteran guy who's played extremely well, was Defensive Player of the Week coming off the Arkansas win. Then in the middle, Jabril Cox, the grad transfer from North Dakota State. He's had his ups and downs this year, as you almost would expect moving up a division in college football. But he's got a very good high IQ. He's got a very good motor, and did a great job last week, not only in run support, but really taking Weidermeyer, the talented tight end for Texas A&M, kind of took him out of the game. Weidermeyer had only 4 catches, and Jabril Cox had 3 pass breakups. So those are some of the names I think that if LSU has any shot to even slow them down slightly, it's going to have to come from those guys.
We know Ed Orgeron is such a good motivator as a head coach that we've seen that when he was assistant coach, and that's translated to him being a head coach as well. How has he been able to manage a tough season right on the heels of a dream season when everything went right last year?
Well, he's an optimistic guy, and I think that's what you find in most good motivators is they always have to take the half glass full and make the most out of that, or the old adage, make lemonade out of lemons. And, that's the way Ed operates on a daily basis. I think, having read his book that was released earlier this year, you take a look at some of the things that he's faced over his career, when he did things the way he thought he should do it and still came up empty or failed in some scenario. He just keeps on swinging, keeps on coming. So I think, based on what's happened this year, based on the 2020, the pandemic, the loss of players moving on to the NFL, some players opting out, I think he still keeps a positive spin on things. And talking to him on his radio show earlier this week, he said, hey, nobody's expecting much out of us. We're a big underdog. We go out there, we roll the dice, we play, we have fun, we move fast, and we'll see what happens. So I think for the first time in a while, as I said earlier, I think the mentality at football operations this week is nobody expects us to be in this game. The great Alabama's coming to town. Let's just go out there and have fun, let it all hang out. So that's, I think, the motivation or the motivational tactic he's taking this week.
And this group has to be fired up to get back to Tiger Stadium. It's been a long time since the last home game. It's felt like forever, I'm sure.
Yeah, October 24th, the last time they played at home. They lost a home game because of the hurricane. They moved that game to Missouri. So it's been over a month, plus it's only going to be the 3rd home game of the year. So yeah, they're certainly, I'm sure, excited to be not, getting on buses and planes and this time, sleeping in their own beds and having kind of a home atmosphere. It won't be 102,000 plus inside Tiger Stadium, but I think all of the other nice features of being at home is probably welcomed by everybody at LSU football.
Well, LSU football against Alabama coming up this Saturday down in Baton Rouge. And before we let you go, Chris, what can you tell us about Tigers basketball and the team we can expect to see later in the year between Alabama and LSU on the hardwood?
Well, I think it's going to be an exciting year. I think another exciting year in the SEC, but Will Wade certainly is, coming into this year has the most depth he's had as a head coach. They can go really 8 to 10 deep. He feels comfortable with those guys out there on the floor. He's got 3 talented core players from a year ago, Javonte Smart, Trendon Watford from Alabama, of course, and Darius Days. They all decided to come back, and then he added some incredible freshmen. Just remember the name Cam Thomas, true freshman, incredible player. I think he's 2nd leading scorer in the SEC, not among freshmen, but among all players. Can do it inside, outside, and also shoots well from the line and gets opportunities at the line. So there is a lot of excitement. Things have been different for football, obviously, in 2020, but a lot of Tiger fans are excited about Will Wade and LSU basketball, and I can't say that I blame them.
Well, we're looking forward to that, and certainly looking forward to Saturday's football game between the Crimson Tide and the LSU Tigers. Chris, thank you for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you not only at the ball game, but down the road for basketball and baseball as well. All the best.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it. Let's do it again real soon.
That sounds good. That's Chris Blair, the voice of the LSU Tigers. Thank you for watching the Crimson Tide Sports Network.